Alright, welcome to another Volvo 460 Turbo video. The amount of videos I do, I should really sort of invest in a tripod or something. I will do it at some point. I just don't like being in front of the camera too much. So there you go. But last week, when I had some free time, I remounted the turbo, put turbo jacket on, and a 15 psi sort of cheap eBay actuator. I have confirmed it with a bicycle pump as well, that it is actually 15 psi, properly set up so that there is preload. I have to pull this out to get to the wastegate, keeps the wastegate closed then. We got Philidas nuts on the studs here. I've had to sort of use a die on some of these. This one was Imperial for some reason. Same with the bolt hole at the back, which I find a bit strange, but hey ho, these French engines use a combination of weird and wonderful bolts, so I can't tell what's legacy and what's not legacy and what's factory standard. I haven't fitted the shield to the back of the turbo to protect the starter motor, unfortunately, because that feels like a lot of effort to bend the shield into place. I do have the shield in the garage, bear with me. Here we go, here's my new heat shield. This is just a sheet of aluminium that is a little bit thicker than 4mm by the looks of things, so it will probably be difficult to bend into place, although aluminium is soft. But I kind of need it to fit in behind the turbo and the starter motor so it doesn't knacker the starter motor up. Part of the reason of putting a jacket on the turbo is to try and protect the starter motor from being essentially fried. So yeah, shiny bit. Depends on how I get on with it. Effort wise, it's not something that I am particularly fond of. That needs must. While I'm at it, I also need to remake this cable somehow. And this is from the ignition down to the starter motor. I have taped it up with some electrical tape previously, but that's probably not really gravy or going to float very well. I'm going to recrimp the ends of the jump cable that I'm using as a starter cable from the battery, so I've run it through here, down here, onto the starter. I don't like the crimps that are on this, because I've just basically used the crimps that went on the jaws, and what was that? Yeah, I've used the crimps that were on the jaws, essentially just drilled out the holes. I've now invested in a proper hydraulic crimping set. I'm surprised I didn't do this sooner, because it's quite cheap actually, and it will be useful for work because of how cheap it is. I mean, 25 quid, so I'll be bringing that into work, and then maybe an extra tenner for a bunch of appropriately sized crimps. Next, I've also got to find or get this park neutral switch off for the automatic gearbox, because I've snapped off a pin. There should be a four pins, so that'll be the next sort of thing. I have also put my smoke pressure testing thing on this. From what I can tell, there doesn't seem to be any smoke, so today's a bit of a muddly day, but because there's lots of little jobs to do, lots of little things I want to get done. I also have a sleeving kit now, so I'm going to sleeve the cable when I'm happy with the length all the way back, which will be good. The gearbox fluid seems to have weeped out of the socket there, which I'm not happy about. Might also re-terminate the speedo cable because we need to get the shielding onto a good ground. I found otherwise it doesn't really read accurately. Another good thing about this car, lots of quirks, it does like a good ground. Oh, I also have a new fuel pressure regulator arrived, so that'll be fitted. That's sitting in the back seat in the car there somewhere. Yeah, as I say, it's one of those things. There's lots of little jobs. So all this just to try and sort cold starting issue where the car runs lumpy at start up. Now that we found the hole in the manifold gasket, it was generally a crap manifold gasket in the first place, it may be fixed. Oh, just something new I've noticed. I need to get this out because that's my heater core pipe. Lovely. So I've accidentally snapped one of the joiners in the hose. What else? What else? Oh yes, at some point I would like to replace this horrible old looking soft boost hose that comes off of the turbo housing. So you got your inlet, it comes out, goes down to the intercooler, back in through the plenum. So what I want to do, get a new one of these. I've got a feeling that'll fail. That's got funny angles and all sorts on it. I haven't really got room to make a short right angle out, another short right angle back to the front of the car and out to the intercooler, so to speak. I also need to tee it off to bring it into this. I've also got some new recirc valves. Apparently I need quite a hard pipe, yeah, a hard plastic pipe here to join them together. So yeah, that's going to be another good one to try and sort out. Lots of fun ahead. Lovely jubbly. Catch you in a little while. So, welcome back. I know I keep saying welcome back because for me it's been a little while, but I'm hoping to start stitching these videos together, making a full length YouTube video type deal. I want to try and get some production into these videos, so to speak. So here's the old battery cable that went to the starter motor. So pretty gnarly, oily, horrible, and I don't really like this shielding stuff. And then they've got a mix of that and this coil wrap type stuff. And then here is a joiner for 2 extra cables that are like piggybacked off of this, which is a bit janky, I think. So I've remade my starter cable, at least the battery side, in this. So where has this wire rope been all my life? Because this is the first bag of the stuff that I've bought, relatively cheap from what I remember. It is so difficult to cut, which I think it will go perfectly. One of my colleagues at work did give me some decent battery cable, which I could have used. I forgot it and left it while I was doing paperwork yesterday. So sorry about that, Percy. But yeah, I found this stuff online. Thought, you know, it'd be tidier than doing wrapping in electrical tape. So I think I'm gonna move forward with this stuff in any future sort of wiring bits and pieces that I do. All you need to do if you want to tee off a cable, get a screwdriver, poke a hole in and then poke the cable through. It's as easy as that. Make sure your ends are either made off or cut. That way it's not going to snag the wires up or the bare copper up as you feed it through. Yeah, genuinely impressed. So I will try and route this cable through to the starter motor somehow, so the battery sort of sits up here in front of the filter or the inlet, intake, whatever, in theory. So hopefully I'll find a decent route. I don't want to sit it underneath there where the exhaust manifold is. You've got the turbo here, which obviously gets hot, so I think I'll try and run it underneath the boost pipe down here. Hopefully that doesn't get too hot. Run it up along the gearbox and up that way, and then with the other cables on the car side that use this funky junky connector, I'm going to try and, well, I need to find out where they go. They might want rewiring. Might be easy to rewire them, or I might extend them with my terminal block, or solder them together, sleeve them and run them up to my new fangled angled Renault battery terminal. So I want the starter to come off of this, what is Cal 1 fuse. Then I've got other little fuses for this that we can work out as we go. It doesn't, originally it's not fused, it's fused in the fuse holder inside the car somewhere along the lines. So I've got a feeling I don't really need to have fuses. So as long as I match or exceed what's in the fuse holders at the other end of the car on this, I should be okay. So yeah, enough rambling, more work. Okay, so doing a bit of Google foo. You can't get one of these for less than 150 quid, but there is a French remanufacturer who does them for £50. Search online D for Delta, S for Sierra, space 11106. It should come up with a fuel pressure regulator for a Renault engine. This is the one, 3-bar pressure. So yes, we can get one relatively cheap, but we'll have to wait for payday to be able to afford that. For the time being, I'll put this back on. I can always throw the engine back in because it's relatively accessible while the engine's inside the car. If somebody could inform me what this is about, and how I can go about replacing this, that would be fantastic, because when I first got the car, this didn't have a nipple here. It was just pissing water straight out of here. I know that this bit particularly is a bleed. I've blocked it off with a screw and some, I can't remember, Loctite at some point. But yeah, if somebody could help me out with that bit, that would be really appreciated. Whether or not it's a pull out, push on, press fit, what have you. It looks like it's also been leaking a little bit just here, because there's not very nice, a bit of muck underneath it. So what I want to do is tidy it up, get something a bit more suitable, or just refresh it, because I want to keep this car on the road. I want to keep it nice. Refreshing things would be pretty much the order of the day. I might need to get some gaskets in at some point because it's all a little bit oily all around here, and there's a bit of mayonnaise in there. So then it becomes, do I change the gasket or do I give it a clean and see what sort of condition it's currently sitting in? Yeah, give me a shout on that one, guys and gals. But yeah, seems to be alright. This is the oil pump, I take it, in the back here. What I'll do is I'll leave the king lead off and pump up the oil. Give the engine a couple of turns on the starter motor before I even go anywhere near starting it up and running it, because I want to protect this turbo. It's sitting there quite nicely, quite happy and whatnot. What else? What else? Can't really think of anything else at the moment. So yeah, shiny goodness. This is relatively, and I need to nip that up before I forget. So I know what I'm like. I'll get too eager, too excited in getting this all back together. And then yeah, it'll be a bit of drama because something doesn't work. For the time being, what I've done is I've routed this cable down underneath the mount, the body mount. I don't know, I think so. I'm not going to connect that other side up. What I want to do, I'm going to avoid having it near the drive shaft, clearly, and then just sort of rest it in here. Hopefully what'll happen, shield will protect it from the downpipe, because I've got this shield that sits here. I just don't have the one that sits up here in between the turbo and the starter motor. So yeah, carry on. I'll put that back on as well, because I will forget about that, because I'm an idiot like that sometimes. Getting there. Hopefully soon we'll be putting her in and getting ready to start her up. Ta-ra. Here's another video. We're doing some more electronics on the Volvo 460 turbo. So just been doing a bit of soldering. Thing I hate about soldering with wires together, I prefer a nice lap joint like this, but it's really difficult. You need the hands of an octopus. Good old Maplins miss a bit of that action. So that joint is now okay. Okay, bear with me. Just sliding this sleeve over the joint. So I've paralleled up the cable, because it's only a spade connector on the starter motor, and hopefully we'll just give it a little bit of a pinch and that should go on. In the meantime, we shall shrink our cable onto the if it will shrink. Come on, shrink, you bagger. Other thing we do, we'll just get the lighter on it. That's probably a better way, actually. Right. Sorry for that brief pause. Get the lighter on it. There you go, nice and neat-ish looking joint, and then I'm going to sleeve it up in that nice sort of sleevey stuff that I bought. So hopefully I'll be alright. So I think I'll make this the final video because temperature's starting to drop. You can probably see by the condensation on the top of my Audi. Right, so I'm going to put this cable away because I will probably want it for other bits and pieces. I have shortened this pipe off, so it's now a T-piece essentially around. The starter cable for the battery side and for the ignition side have come out really nicely. I'm very pleased with how they've turned out. There we go. Looks kind of nice back down here. I'm going to run them up there and then into the car, whatever. Down here, not my best work because it's in a difficult place to get to, but I have soldered in this this plug for the fans. It was on a chocky blocker for testing. I don't know how I'm going to get that very neat without shoving a massive, great big bit of that sleeving over the top of it. Even then, I can only get it to come up to here, and it'll rest on the fans. This one is just a spare earth, so it comes from the back of the plug up to here. So I'll clip it to this loom at some point. These two that plug into the old starter motor cable over there, the battery side, should reach up here quite nicely, barring anything pulling them back. This one, however, concerns me because this one was a bit too short. I think I might be able to get away with reusing it, but it'll be very tight and it runs. Well, I might even be able to jiggle something up with that, because that's all it is. Didn't realise that. Very short. I could probably, yeah, I could probably do a little joining box here or something like that, because that's, what's this from? This goes down to the alternator, and this is a mega fuse on the alternator. So I could I'll open this up, see if there's a joiner in here, run a cable straight through. Now there's a little takeoff here for something. What's that? Well, that doesn't seem to be doing anything. There's just a random plug cut off here. So I could essentially get away with removing this cable. What I'll do is I'll unplug it and meter it through, make sure it is definitely going to here. Apologies for angles and stuff. This one I can probably cut back out the loom and just bring straight up to the top of the battery. That would sit round about here-ish. Same story for this one. I can pretty much just have a single strand. Ooh. Yeah, I don't know why they didn't like do a terminal box on top of the battery, but yeah, never mind. We have an inline fuse there instead. So yes, I'm going to tidy up now because temperature, it is getting cold. So I'll go in and play a bit of Project Zomboid or something Yeah, apart from putting new plugs on everything, I think we're pretty much there. I want to tidy this up and put like that wrap stuff around it that I have, because that looks really nice. I want to reroute the cables and make them tidy, you know, because this engine bay is quite busy with the engine in the middle of it. Well, it's quite busy now. So yeah, any suggestions or thoughts would be appreciated, but I'm quite pleased with how things are going. The other thing is some tyrant or some tyke has ripped out my washer jets, so I've got to now take the wipers off and replace those underneath the scuttle. I don't know how difficult a job it is. Hopefully not too hard, but we'll see. I've got some aftermarket standy uppy washer jets organised. It's a shame I can't do what the Audi does and get some washer nozzles mounted onto there so they spray up the windscreen, but the angle is too steep, I think. So hey ho. Right, onwards and upwards. Catch you on the flip side. So I think I've bought the wrong fuel regulator somehow. I misread the part number on this. It's a bit difficult to read, but I've got 028016028. So yeah, this bad boy is not correct. So if anybody wants a 280160 let me know. Oops. So it might even actually work on the 2 litre. I don't know. I've got sitting over here. Brilliant. Another setback. So right, I'll pop that back in its box, hide it away, and reassemble that fuel pressure regulator. In the meantime, I'll update you on what I've done. So yeah, I'll put this bad boy back in a second. What I've done while in the interim, this is the run-on pump for the coolant. After the car's been switched off, runs coolant back through the turbo. It normally sits sort of way over here on the wing, and these pipes are inordinately long, and I can't remount it back onto the wing because I can't reach down here to put it back on. Pain in the backside to get at. So instead of trying to get it to remount on the wing or hold it up with a janky cable tie, I've decided to shorten the pipes and let it just sit and free float on the pipes here. I might put a little bit of rubber on this bit just to stop it from bouncing and knocking, because it'll eventually fracture, or I'll attach it up here to this, and hopefully there's enough space there so that it can sit quite happily and hang off of the back of the turbo. The other thing I could always do is bring it in closer and it sits in this void here, but I can't remember where this sits in relation to the subframe and bulkhead. I think the bulkhead comes back down, it's quite tight, this pinches in between it. Something obviously sits here, not just water, it's not just a flat surface. So I've also ordered up a little elbow. Couldn't get one in yellow, annoyingly, because as you can see, the theme of the car is yellow with a hint of rust and black and the odd shiny thing. So yeah, there you go.